everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be going over a Ram 3500 with the 6.7 liter Cummins, and more importantly, this is a Ram 3500 that was released before the addition of the DEF system. We'll get into that a little bit later in the review, but first and foremost, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy, Utah for providing us with this truck. Check out their inventory in the link below if you're in the market for new Dodge, Ram, Jeep, or Chrysler. Let's get into it. Under the hood, we have the 6.7 liter Cummins turbo diesel. It goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Now for the 2012 model year, the power output on this was 350 horsepower, and then the torque figure was 800 pound-feet. Now, going over the front end, this particular truck has some pretty cool goodies that have been added to it. You guys will notice the bull bar is probably the first thing that you noticed, and then the bug guard. This one also has LED lights added to it as well, so just kind of like a nice little touch. And then notice that the previous owner also kind of like blacked this all out, so just kind of has like a sportier look in general. Kept the bumper all the same, nothing's been changed there. The grill also, though, they kind of went for like a blacked out look. So overall, the front end, I mean, it's still pretty similar to what it was stock, but it also looks a lot better. And since it's a dually, you do get the cab lights at the top. Now I've got two 35mm tires on 17-inch rims in the front and in the rear, and this one also has running boards. Now the badging actually can be a way, unless someone like changed the badging on their truck, but this can be a way that you can tell the truck doesn't have DEF. This type of badging this truck has, as you can see, is on all of the trucks that are pre-DEF. They updated the badging for the 2013 model year, which was the first year that they added DEF in the trucks. And so that's kind of one of the ways, if the badging setup kind of looks, well, it's that badge more importantly, but if it looks like that, most likely the truck does not have the DEF system in it. Coming to the rear, and you guys will notice this is actually a mega cab. This has a 6'4" bed because it is a mega cab, and I don't know if you guys can see that very well, but this has LED taillights that were also added by the previous owner, and yeah, just look at the size of that exhaust tip. Absolutely massive. And then here's kind of like a closer look. The lights do have that blacked out appearance again, which I think is a really nice aesthetic appearance. And then you can see lowering down the tailgate, it looks like we just got a bed mat back here. Obviously you got the tonneau cover and the toolbox right there. And then these beds are still like, they're really light even to this day. This truck's pretty old, right? It's a 2012, but the bed is still really light and easy to get up. And then there's all your receiver hitch, all that kind of stuff down in that area, obviously. And then yes, this will not have as high of a towing capacity as like a newer truck. It's gonna be several thousand pounds less, but it's still gonna be really good at towing, and it's probably gonna tow most things that you would need to tow. Now we're coming under here because this is how you really tell if it doesn't have DEF or not. If there's a blue cap right next to the green cap, this is the diesel, blue is the DEF, and if it has the blue cap, well, you're in trouble. No, just kidding, but that means it has DEF. Now, the reason that people don't like DEF, and by the way, DEF stands for diesel emission fluid, is it kind of causes certain restrictions on the system, obviously to put out less emissions, but because of that, it restricts the system in general. It can cause problems in the trucks. So people definitely love trucks like this that don't have DEF. If you guys are always wondering, why the heck do people care about that? That's pretty much why. There's a whole lot of other stuff that goes along with it, and so that's just like very, very oversimplifying it, basically. And let's head to the back. Now, coming to the back, this one is a mega cab, and it's crazy to see how far Ram has come, because like, look, this is like all plastic back here. This one is a more basic interior on the truck, but just like look at the interior on this. And you guys have seen obviously the new 2019 body style on the heavy duties and the half tons. Like, it's just crazy to see how far they come. Now, since this is a mega cab, you actually can fold the seats down, or you can fold them down flat with that little thing right there. You do get storage behind the seats, and then this particular truck does have rubber floor mats. The other two were in the bed. You do get vents here for the rear passengers. Legroom is plentiful in the mega cab, all that kind of stuff, and that's everything for the rear. Even back in 2012, you still had the cool flip-up trailer mirrors, and they are heated. Now, coming to the front itself, you notice that the door panel is pretty similar to what's in the rear. You got all like the hard touch. Well, this is a little bit softer, but still pretty much hard touch everywhere. You got your mirror adjustments, your window controls, all that. And then here are the seats at the front. So again, those same cloth seats, pretty much kind of like a lower down packaging on the seats in general. And then here's what the pedals look like at the bottom. This one actually has trailer brakes integrated into it. These were added after the fact. And then these are your light controls right here. And then notice we got a little tuner right there that kind of, basically the biggest thing that does right now for the truck is just give you different bits of information on it, just like how it's running and all that. There's your steering wheel, and well, we're gonna pop in. Almost forgot, but here are the stickers on the truck before we pop in so you guys can see all that information. Feel free to freeze the frame if you just want to read this. And then got the VIN sticker over here. so you guys can see all that information. But yeah, there is that for you. And now we are officially going to pop in. Those running boards make it super easy. Now, just like with any diesel, you want to let it warm up a little bit, but this truck already drove it, so it's already warmed up, so we're pretty much good to go. But on these trucks, the check engine light will actually flash a few times and then go solid, and that's kind of how it lets you know that it's ready for you to turn the ignition and start the truck. Now, here is the steering wheel in the 2012 Ram. You guys will notice you get your cruise control over on this side, and then over here on the other side, this is just for a little center screen right there. There's no radio controls in the back of the steering wheel, pretty simplistic. And then you've got little stock for the windshield wiper, and then it does have a column shifter. Now you can manually shift the gears yourself if you want with that 6-speed automatic. Now we are going to come here into the center. Notice that they haven't, I mean, they've changed quite a bit with the look, but then the overall functionality compared to the new trucks is pretty similar. You've got RPMs over on the left side. On the right side, you got the speed, and then you can scroll through different things so you guys can see like engine hours, for example, on the truck. You can see a bunch of different bits of information, but just in general, screen's pretty good. We'll actually see what the fuel economy looks like. 12.7 miles per gallon, pretty interesting. Sorry about the glare. I've done everything I can to try to make this screen as visible as possible so you guys can kind of see, but like I said, it just shows you different bits of information on the truck, how everything is running, but that's pretty much what that screen does. And obviously you can use this to tune things on the truck if you want to change power outputs and all that kind of stuff. This truck actually has an aftermarket radio added into it, so this is not from the factory. Not even going to play with it because it's kind of confusing. Coming down here, you actually did get diesel exhaust brake from the factory. I mean, it's expected. It is a diesel truck. Hopefully you have that. You did have the tow haul mode back in 2012. Single zone climate though. This is the drive line select. So you got your 4-wheel lock, 4-wheel low, and then you do have the true neutral right there. You did get a little 12 volts, and then you got kind of like this like cup holder thing that would pop out. And then another 12 volt on the other side. Now this one has the bench seat. So storage on top of the seat and the little coin holder turns into a seat. And then under the seat, there is nothing, no storage sadly, but you kind of have this area where you could fit like a little kid. And then you still have the dual glove box back in 2012 as well. Now this is pretty surprising. This is kind of like more like a base model interior truck, but power sliding window, which is definitely a nice little luxury feature. And then it is a lighter colored headliner that kind of clashes a little bit with the bottom of the truck, but who cares? And also, I forgot to tell you guys, miles, 122,480 miles on it. Now that we're done going over the interior, let's quickly talk about pricing. So pricing is actually kind of all over the place for these pre-def trucks. Now, obviously the 5.9s, those ones are worth so much money. It's just crazy how much they're going for. If it's a 12 valve, I mean, it's worth a stupid amount of money. If it's a 24 valve 5.9, then they're still worth a lot of money. Now the early 6.7s, those weren't very popular just because of reliability issues, so those ones haven't held their values much, but these 2011s and the 2012s like this one, they seem to be doing pretty well in the market. Now, depending on mileage and all that kind of stuff, it seems like they're anywhere from like the low 20s up to, I've seen them still at like $40,000, which is absolutely crazy. This particular one, I think they have it priced at about $28,000, $29,000. Check their website so you guys can get exact pricing on it. But that's kind of the range, and it seems like they're starting to hold their value really well. So this is one of those trucks that you could buy, and I wouldn't say that you would make money on it, but you could potentially break even at least on the sales price. Obviously the maintenance and all that's going to set you back, but you could potentially break even on this truck after driving it for quite a while. And let's take this one out and see how it drives. Let's talk about visibility here in this 3500 Mega Cab before we set off. So visibility over the hood, I mean, this is pretty much identical to what it is even on a new truck. Not much has changed there. Same with the mirrors as well. It's got the giant trailer mirrors, and then all throughout the rear, this one actually has some window tint, which is pretty nice. But yeah, visibility all around, it's super solid. And let's set off. I am setting off here in the 2012 Ram 3500. And in the initial part of this driving, I'm gonna compare this to like the newer trucks to kind of give you guys an idea of just how this would drive compared to a new 2019 or 2020 Ram 3500. The first big difference you're gonna notice is the suspension. Like, oh my goodness, they have made the suspension so much smoother in the new trucks. Like, this really shows you just like how much work they've put there, because it's so bumpy, and I'm not sure if it'll come through on the camera, but like I am just bumping all over the place, and of course I'm low on fuel. But yeah, literally, I mean, hopefully you guys can see it. Like I'm kind of like bouncing all over the place, not even going that quick. And so just from a suspension standpoint, this is so much rougher compared to a new truck. Oh, yep, there we go. The steering on it, it feels pretty similar. The new trucks feel a little bit more direct with the steering, but this definitely, I mean, it's pretty close. All trucks are pretty vague, and this is no different from that. Now, in terms of the turning radius, I would say that hasn't changed that much either. Like, this is just as difficult or just as easy to turn. Like, I feel like these trucks definitely drive smaller than they are. Like, this one especially is a dually, and of course I had the mirror set wrong. Yeah. This one obviously is a dually, and dualies are notoriously difficult to maneuver just because of how big the truck is. And I mean, right here you guys can see I can make a super sharp turn, no problem. Don't even go outside the lines or anything like that. It's really easy from just like a turning perspective. The acceleration now is the next thing I want to talk about before we kind of finish things up by talking about the lack of def in these trucks. And with the initial acceleration, it still feels like a really torquey engine. And well, we'll get our full-blown acceleration here now. Ooh! Now, it doesn't feel as punchy as a new truck. Like that new version of the 6.7 liter with the 1,000 pound-feet of torque and 400 horsepower definitely feels punchier, but this doesn't feel weak by any means. I mean, 800 pound-feet of torque is still a lot. If you did get the high output version, you could get 850 pound-feet of torque, but it seems like not that many trucks were equipped with that. Most of them had the lower torque output. But this, I mean, again, it's still more than enough. Now let's go on to the DEF situation. So a lot of you guys that are familiar with DEF will understand why you hate it, right? You don't like the fact that you have to pay extra just for a regular routine thing in your truck, right? DEF makes it so that every single time, especially when you tow with the truck, you have to pay. I mean, it depends on how much DEF you need to fill up, but I mean, it seems like it's usually 50 to 100 bucks just to fill up the truck with the DEF. And if you tow with it, then you have to spend 50 to 100 bucks. And especially like if it goes down really quickly, which it usually does while towing, you have to spend that extra money. So that's the first part of the reason why DEF sucks. The other part is the system that is associated with DEF. That's another thing that can break on the trucks. This truck, since it doesn't have it, if it doesn't have it, it can't break. But when you do have the DEF system, it's something that can break, and so people definitely get annoyed with that. And so I can understand why trucks like this are holding their value, because you don't have to worry about the extra cost associated with just having to fill up the truck with DEF on a regular basis. And then you also don't have to worry about the system breaking. So yeah, if you're in the market for a diesel truck, if you're okay with something that's more simplistic, I would definitely check out like a 2011 or 2012 truck, because they're worth a look. That is going to sum things up for our video on the 2012 Ram 3500, and more importantly, a 2012 Ram pre-DEF, all that kind of stuff. So again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Dodge Ram here in Sandy for providing us with the truck. Check out their inventory in the link below. I will see all of you in that next video.